and ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, Jim Himes. Congressman, thanks for being with us. Now that there has been an arrest, what is your biggest question about this leak, and what's your biggest concern?
Well, I mean, there's really two big questions. One, of course, is the one that we all know, which is how could this happen? And, you know, I think we have a little bit of a good sense for how it happened. Obviously, this individual, and of course, he's innocent until proven guilty, but allegedly this individual just was able to print out some of our most top secret documents off of a military network. Obviously, that's going to need to be rethought. And, you know, there's a challenge there, Anna, because, you know, intelligence is valuable when it's shared. One of the lessons from 9/11 was that there wasn't enough sharing going on. But of course, the more you share, the more opportunity there is for people to do what this individual did. By the way, the other question is, how is it that this stuff was apparently out in the wild for a couple of months, maybe as much as 2 months before the federal government even knew about it? So anyway, a lot of congressional oversight to be done on precisely the question you asked.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said the Biden administration was asleep at the switch. Is that how you see it?
Well, I'm not surprised that Kevin McCarthy is going to seize on every moment possible to try to take a strike at the president of the United States. That is sadly one of the definitions of the Congress these days, even though we used to live in a world where, you know, partisanship stopped at the water's edge. Look, the reality is that these leaks, and here's the frightening thing, these leaks happened under President Biden, they happened under President Trump, they happened under President Obama, they happened under President Bush. This is not a partisan thing. This is a culture thing and a process and procedure thing. So, again, I'm not surprised that Kevin McCarthy is taking swipes, but that's not fundamentally what's going on here.
We're told the U.S. intel agencies may now change how they monitor social media sites and chat rooms following all of this. Obviously, difficult to do because of privacy and other concerns there. Is it enough, though, to up the monitoring?
Well, you ask a delicate question there, and I would tell you that it will not be the intelligence agencies, the CIA or the NSA, that monitor American networks. That's really a job for the FBI. If they fear that a crime is being committed, you know, it would be the FBI who does this. But remember, a lot of this stuff, whether we're talking about Twitter or public Facebook pages, a lot of this stuff is out in the open, right? And because it's out in the open, the people who are shouting on Twitter or putting stuff up on Facebook pages, they do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And so, yeah, there is theoretically nothing stopping the FBI from, and, you know, I don't want them to spend a lot of time and manpower on this, but for having procedures to look for classified information that is on public platforms.
What else needs to happen to prevent this type of thing from happening again? Do you think fewer people should have access to classified materials?
Well, yes, I do. I think there should be less classified material. I think fewer people should have access to it. In this particular case, you know, this is in some ways reminiscent of the Snowden case, I think, in as much as, you know, Edward Snowden was a very young, ideologically screwed up individual who had access to the crown jewels. And I would like to believe that in this day and age of chat GPT and very highly advanced computing and stuff, that we ought to be able to make it possible for network administrators to maintain the health of the networks, even as they're not necessarily viewing every element that is on that network, and certainly not printing it out. So, yeah, look, I think there's some basic things here that can be done to make our information a lot more secure.
And we still don't know the depth of the leak at this point. The revelations from this intel leak are still coming to light, including, according to the Washington Post, that there were additional Chinese spy balloons that the U.S. intel agencies were aware of. The Post also says documents have revealed some of what the U.S. knew and still didn't know about the balloon that had been shot down. I wonder how much a leak like this helps China.
Well, you know, on the issue of balloons, I'm not sure that it's that helpful to them. They obviously know much better than we do what they're doing with balloons. And
but now they know what we know.
Well, now, yeah, in particular with balloons, I don't worry quite so much about that, because balloons are visible, as we learned, by, you know, people hiking in Montana. You don't need a lot of advanced technology. What really worries me more, and this is what you always worry about, is that, and I'll stress that this intelligence, first of all, we don't know how much of it is authentic. Some appears to be. But also, people need to understand that just because the CIA says that there might be an issue around here, they may believe that with, you know, great conviction, or they may believe that with very weak conviction. So I wouldn't take at face value value all that you hear about this stuff. But what we really worry about is, the Russians in particular looking maybe at some of this intelligence and figuring out how we got it. That's why we work so hard to protect our sources of the intelligence and the methods that we use to collect them. Because if you're smart, you can usually sort of get at how we might have learned something. And that means that could get shut off.
Your Republican colleague, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, has defended the alleged leaker, Jack Teixeira, on Twitter last week. What's your reaction to that? She's defending the person who's allegedly at fault here.
It's really sad for me to see somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, first of all, just go that crazy, but also to see a prominent member of the Republican Party, the party of Teddy Roosevelt, the party of Dwight David Eisenhower, go to a place where she is so consumed in her hatred for the President of the United States and for the Democratic Party, that she would side with enemies of the United States. It's sadly, and fortunately there aren't 50 Marjorie Taylor Greenes here, but the fact that she garners as much attention and support for what is a profoundly unpatriotic position ought to give us all pause about the nature of our politics today, and if we don't maybe want to make some changes to create a more civil, a more patriotic Congress of the United States.
Congressman Jim Himes, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.